All right. And it says that we're live and it didn't boot anybody. Awesome. So, hi guys. I am Courtney and I'm with the Witch Source. And I know normally Whitney starts it off, but she's a little late today. So, I'm kicking it off today. And today we have Cloud the Pagan Rapper with us.
Hello. How are you?
Awesome. And how are you?
I'm excellent. I'm quite enjoying my day. The day off from work today, so got
Awesome.
caught up on lots of stuff. It's nice.
That's great. And so I heard, so you were participating in the Pagan Music Festival, or what was it again?
The International Pagan Music Awards.
The International Pagan Music Awards. So did you attend that this year?
Actually, I didn't get a chance to attend it.
Oh,
Um, I've had some things happening in my personal life, revolving around my family and stuff, which require my attention. So I didn't get to make it out to Starwood this year for that. Um, I also was supposed to be a Pagan Unity Festival, and I didn't get a chance to make that either due to the same circumstances.
mhm.
But things are calming down, and it goes. But I take a step back, see some things through, and be a good man, be a good parent, a good father. Like so.
Something we can all relate to.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I'm not going anywhere, so I'll be back out and doing my thing eventually. Yeah.
Awesome. So how many years have you participated?
So I've been a part of the IPMA for 2 years now, going on
Mhm.
three. When I released Misconceptions in 2020 is when I first signed up with them as an artist member. It's a wonderful organization. They do a lot for us pagan musicians, and putting awards together for that. Like everything that they do to help us with our own exposure and everything. It really is. There's a lot that goes into it,
Awesome.
and
Awesome.
I'm glad to be a part of it.
So do you know who won last year?
Well, for this year, last week, I do know who won. And so for the best band, it was the band Beltane. Hello, person.
Oh, and here's Whitney joining us.
Hi.
Hello.
So
How are
sorry.
you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Looks
I'm
like we're
good.
live.
Oh, yay. Hello, friends.
Yes. You're already live, right? Rocking and rolling.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. So, what did I miss so far?
So he was telling us about the International Pagan Music
Oh,
Award
Association. Yep.
Association.
awesome.
And yeah, so this year for 2022, the best band was a band by the name of Beltane. The best female performer was Abigail Spinner McBride. And the best male performer was my man, Harold Sanford Carter III. All right.
Yes.
um,
Lone
Lone
Wolf.
Wolf himself did bring home the best male.
Awesome.
And I'm very proud of him for that. And I believe he's been on the show before.
Yes, he has. Yeah.
We had him on last month.
Yep. Last month. Yeah. So that's awesome.
Yep. And in between then and now, he has won the award.
Yay. Yeah. That's great. So, you got questions? I have questions.
Go ahead.
Okay. I have questions.
I may have answers.
Right.
So, I want to know what, and I've listened to some of your music, so I think I already know the answer, but I want to share for our listeners. What was your intro into the world of magic? How did you find your path?
So it's funny. I actually wrote a song about it and released it like a month ago. So I had a point in my life when I was about 15 years old where all of my friends that I was hanging out with at the time were just randomly like, hey, look, man, we don't want you to hang out anymore.
Oh.
I was like, oh, well, you guys,
Right.
So I spent a solid 6 months just kind of like on my own without a crew of friends, just kind of doing
Oh wow.
whatever,
Right. Self-seeking.
And during that time, I was just kind of mall ratting around in the local mall, and I was just playing around in a bookstore, and I found this book about magic, and it was Wicca, a guide for the solitary practitioner from Scott Cunningham.
Yeah.
And so when I found that book, I was like flipping through it while I was in there, and I was like, this is really interesting. So I bought the book. I got home and I read it, and I grew up in a Catholic household. So I was like hiding it and all of that. But after I finished reading that first book, I couldn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't stop reading about witchcraft. And, I started just picking up books wherever, by whomever. And, I picking up books by, Grimassi and, Silver Ravenwolf and, just kind of go down the list. I still got my original copy of Big Blue from Regal Buckland. You know what I mean? Like, I still have a lot of these books. And, I kept it hidden and all of that. And so here I am, this like little new metal hardcore kid reading about witchcraft behind his friend's back, And it was like that pretty much until I was in the military, when I finally came out fully and said, listen, guys, I'm Pagan, this is how it is, So, yeah. So if you listen to my song titled Scott Cunningham,
Yes, I
it
did.
literally tells the tale of me finding witchcraft.
That's awesome. So I do have to ask, what branch of the military?
Army.
Army.
Regular active duty.
That's awesome. Our dad did 12 years in the Air Force and then retired from the Army Reserves.
Huh.
And my son is a Marine, so.
Well, do me a favor and thank them both for their service.
Oh, I definitely
yeah.
will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course. And but yeah, I gotta say, that whole process of kind of going back to write that song, I feel like I therapeutically needed it at the same time while writing it, because when I put it out there and I was listening to it, and I was like, wow, it brought back those initial memories, that initial like yearning for knowledge, So from there, I've been back to studying on my own since I've written that song.
Oh, nice. Hey, Pamela, thanks for joining. Yeah, I totally understand what you mean. So when I listened to your song, it made me think about and go back to like when I first found our mom's books, even though, she didn't talk about it at all, but I had found one of her books. And of course I couldn't say anything because I would get in trouble for going through her stuff. But that was like my little intro, was finding her one of her books, Celtic Magic by DJ Conway. And, that was the intro. And I think I was like in either the 3rd or 4th grade when I first found it. And I was just so intrigued. And she had like this whole chest at the end of her bed that she kept locked, and it had like all the stuff in it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and I was like, ooh, what is all this stuff? Like, I was so intrigued, and I was like, I just instantly fell in love with magic. But listening to your song brought me right back to that.
Well, I am glad to be able to provide that experience for you, honestly. Like, that's why I write music, to deliver those kinds of experiences, as opposed to, any kind of like egotistical arrogance that I may have about, myself or what I do. It's really, I wanted to purvey pagan life as it is in my music. And I felt that hip hop was the best way to portray that.
Right.
You can get a lot of words in really fast.
That's true.
But yeah.
So that was another one of my questions was, how did you get into music, and then specifically pagan music? Like,
so my dad was a blues musician.
Oh, okay.
And he, he played in the band and all of that. And I was too young for all of this when he did. But as I was growing up, every time Dad picked up the guitar, everybody in the house stopped what they were doing. And it's something that some of my earliest happy memories are of those moments when my dad picked up his guitar and started jamming for us, because he would just break down some, like, I'm not talking about like just like regular everyday blues. Like, my man would like pick up the guitar and play some like old man sitting on the front porch, cigarette hanging out of his mouth blues. You know what I mean? Like, and I grew up with a love for that, and that kind of spawned this entire love for music as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just listen to hip hop. I listen to all kinds of music. I kind of study it all, different genres, the emotions that different kinds of music portray, and how to portray emotions differently within genres. And these are all things that I've experimented with throughout my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the hip hop itself, one, it really wasn't anybody else doing it, of this whole pagan, witchy kind of hip hop vibe that, myself and a few other people are. Like, before I put out Misconceptions, I think I've only heard of like 2 or 3 other people that rapped about any kind of spirituality that wasn't Christian.
Right.
And, you have Manny the Bard over in Europe doing his thing. He's amazing. You had Gruff the Druid. I think he's from Canada, and he was really good. And and then Indigo Prophet, he's really good. But you hear about this, and then you're like, I'm just going to do this. So, and the initial rap song I wrote as like an experimental thing, which was like a joke for a YouTube channel I was running at the time.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So many moons ago, I had this YouTube channel called Moon Willow Magic.
Oh, I like that name.
It was something that, my coven at the time, I was challenging them to research topics.
Okay.
And, figure if you get to a point where you can, you have a true understanding of the topic when you can sit there and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But then, a lot of them were a little weird about being on camera and stuff like that, which is fine. So I ended up doing all of the stuff like through a lot of their research, though.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then it eventually just became my channel, because that's just kind of how it went. Everybody was just kind of like, you know how things go.
Right.
You try a project for a few months, it works out. Some people stick around, most people don't. So I started this project called the Wiccan Music Experiment, and where I was writing songs with pagan and Wiccan inspired lyrics in different genres of music. So I wrote a song that sounds almost exactly like a Christian rock song,
Right.
but with pagan lyrics. And then, I wrote a blues song, and then I wrote another song. So I had to do a hip hop song.
Right.
Right.
So when I wrote this hip hop song and I recorded it, I had so much fun doing it that I was like, wow. And I make a lot of jokes in that song and everything. So on my YouTube, it's called Pagan Rap, but on Misconceptions, it's actually called People Just Scared. That is the first song I ever wrote in the hip hop genre, literally 2.5 years ago.
Oh,
wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So, but when people started hearing it, they're like, dude, you got to write 10 more of these. Like, this is great. So I decided to sit down and, me being the, eccentric artist that I am first, I wanted to sit down and make a point with my lyrics for a song instead of just a random bunch of jokes and stuff.
Right.
And I wrote the song Try to Understand, which tells the story of a 16-year-old girl in high school who gets outed as a pagan, and everything starts kind of falling apart for her, which a lot of people can relate with.
Mm-hmm.
And after I wrote that song, that's when I knew. I said, you know what, I could really do something here, and I can say something that means something here. And so I did. And here we are now, 2 years later, on the Witch Source podcast.
Yay.
You know, and life is good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So love the music. And we'll definitely share where everybody can find you and find your music and everything. We'll add the links up to everything. So how did you go from solitary practice into the Coven that then led you into the music?
All right. So basically, I was a solitary practitioner for quite some time in my life. And then when I got out of the military, I was still solitary at the time, but I did not have a very good transition back to civilian life. There was a lot of mental health problems, a lot of struggles. And then eventually led into a drug addiction, and eventually led into homelessness. it was a mess, you know? But healing through spirit is how I eventually got through it. But when I got the lifeline, and I say that, you know, in one of my songs, I kind of sort of touch on the tail in my song Stay in the Ring. The goddess threw me a lifeline at this time of my life. And through this time of my life was a friend of mine that I happen to know that I just randomly ran into.
Okay.
You know, and I was homeless, dirty, and hooked on cocaine. And it was bad. It was very bad. And this person paid for me to get home via Greyhound bus.
Oh.
You know, and so I showed up on my parents' doorstep, you know, with a trash bag full of clothes and a 12 string. And, you know, I got clean. And then right after I got clean, I sought out a Coven. And I wanted to do real studies because I knew that the only reason why I was standing back in the state of New Jersey was because, you know, I was given that gift. I was given that second chance.
Right.
You know? So, and that's the thing in my life. Everybody in my life gets a second chance with me now because I have the same thing, you know?
Right.
So yeah, it's actually very, very deep reason behind why I got into that, you know?
Right. Which led, you know, from one thing to another to where you are now. So what does life look like now?
15-year-old daughter going on 22.
I can relate.
She's so much like me, it makes me want to apologize to a lot of people I knew when I was 15. But she's a really good person though, you know, and, you know, I'm proud of who she's growing up to be, you know, but yeah, she's got some fire in her. And, you know, I'm married for 12 years and I live a pretty humble life here in the fine township of Burlington, New Jersey. And, you know, I work as a bartender at a Fireboods Wood Fire Grill up here, you know, and, you know, I live a pretty humble life. And then when I get out of like the mundane and stuff, I am, you know, a first degree priest in the Corellian tradition.
Okay.
And working on my second degree, which is what I was doing up until we sat down to chat today. And I am the head of the Circle of the Nine Muses, which is a Witan shrine within the Corellian tradition.
Okay.
We have been a shrine since January, officially a shrine since January within the tradition. And our whole thing of our teachings and our, you know, what we do as a coven, as a shrine, is that we express our magic through the arts.
Oh, so I love that.
Through the idea of inspiration, the muses inspiration. So what inspires you? Find your magic. So that's like our thing, is to find what it is that is magical for you.
I love that.
For me, it's music and poetry. For somebody else, it might be art or drawing or painting. For some people, it may be gardening. You know, like it's really everybody has their own shtick. They have their own place in the world when it comes to a magical connection. And our goal is, we're a very eclectic coven. Multiple paths in our group and everything. So we want to help you find what works for you. That is our thing, as opposed to here's this curriculum, here's this, you have to follow this. We keep things very open.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah, Pam said, where can we sign up?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things that we're all about is finding a path, making it your own, doing exactly what you love, what makes you happy.
Finding the passion in it.
Right.
Well, you can send an email to ninemusescircle@gmail.com, and then we will send you back a little questionnaire. And through the questionnaire, then we go through the whole, process of kind of vetting you a little bit, because we have had some crazies come through our gates the last, so we want to make sure that we're weeding out people that most certainly are not going to fit in,
Right.
And, we are selective about who we let in, but we do that. That's completely by design. It's not like we're full of ourselves or anything. We're really just protecting ourselves and the bond that we have as a coven.
Exactly.
Most of the members of the coven have been members of the Moola Circle, which is what has evolved into the Circle of Nine Muses. Okay. So, we already have like a 5-year-long relationship as a coven before we made this transition.
Right.
And so,
right.
Like these people are my family. I'm not putting any of them at any kind of risk. So please fill out the questionnaire so we can go through it. It's very non-invasive. So, but yeah, if you do that, our Shine Scribe will send you an email back with it and everything, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. So is there like something, and I know you don't want to give away too much, but would it be something that like our listeners could get involved in, even if they're not in New Jersey? Or is it something where like maybe we could set up something similar within the group and you like provide a pathway to help members be able to find that passion? Like, is there I can't think of the words, but like something you go through that helps them discover that passion and that magic within them?
So basically how it works, we are a hybrid coven, so we do rituals in person and online.
Okay.
Oh,
so you would be able to join a ritual online with no problem, but heads up, when we do get together, our rituals tend to be like 2 hours because we give everybody their chance to speak. Like we have a monthly healing circle as opposed to a full moon esbit. We save our full moon esbits for personal practice, so that way everybody can still continue with their own path, their own connections with deity.
Oh, I love that.
And so instead of us getting together to do the full moons, you do that on your own. That is for you and your deities. That is for you. We're getting together on the Sabbats, and we're going to get together for a month, and we're going to send healing out. And everybody has their healing list, so we take the time to make sure that everybody gets to read off their healing list before we go in, and then we talk about it. And sometimes we might have to talk about some trauma that's coming from that and all that. We work it out with each other.
Right.
We're like a very large emotional support SWAT team.
That is awesome. I mean, we basically do that for each other.
Right.
But I think it's great to expand that. I love the idea of the healing circle. And I especially love that you leave that personal space for the full moon for that one-on-one. For sure.
Yeah. I mean, because when it comes down to it, it's your own personal path to walk, right?
Yes.
Witchcraft in itself, regardless of whether you're a member of a giant tradition or you're a solitary or you're in just like a mom and pop coven, it's still your path to walk. You make the decisions, you make the call, You have to figure out how you connect best so that you can have the best experiences and receive those messages to be able to properly do your work, So it's very important to have that lax structure, like
Yeah.
seeing as, the magical being itself, which is all things are magic, right? All things are magical beings, even from a blade of grass that's just sitting there doing its photosynthesis thing. It's still a magical being, So,
Yeah, exactly.
so where do we fit in that? And when we find our places where to fit in with that is when we can really turn our lives around and do some really big things with ourselves. So,
do you mind sharing? And if you don't want to, that's okay. I completely understand. But is there, I know you kind of shared one, but is there another like big magical moment where the divine just really came in and spoke to you, and that connection was like so strong, so sure, like beyond a doubt? Like, is there something that you would be willing to maybe share?
I'm going to give you two. Both
Okay.
revolve around music. All right. Both
Awesome.
of them revolve around specific songs that I've written about these experiences.
Okay.
Right? So if you've listened to my song Persephone's Dance, right? That song is a literal depiction of an actual experience that I've had in meditation where I was visited. So like this song is about Persephone. I go into meditation and I'm kind of walking through and everything's all kind of dead, and it's all cold. And then all of a sudden I see this goddess and I'm like, whoa. And then she walks out into this lake and she snaps her fingers and starts this dance. And as she's dancing, everything comes back to bloom.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, but this vision wasn't so much Persephone and her role in helping Demeter bring back spring. It was more of we all have our seasons in life. We're going to have our winters, our springs. We're going to have our summers, like in our own lives, in the ebbs and flows of just how things go.
Right.
And that vision that I was given from her, it was so vivid that immediately I wrote it down. And I have to thank Sir ELN, who is a music producer who I'm very, very close with. And she's a member of my tradition as well. She's also the full name Ebony Nash. She is the one that produced the track for Persephone's Dance and said, I don't know why, but I feel like I should send this to you. And I put it on repeat and meditated to it, and that's what happened.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she helped deliver that experience for me through that beat. And then I wrote those lyrics and put that song out.
Oh,
and when
wow.
I wrote those lyrics and I was recording that song with her beat and all, it completely consumed me for like 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Like it had to be perfect. I drove my wife completely nuts. Like I just went after it, because I had to get it out.
Right.
I just had this like amazing experience and I had to get it out. And since then, I've been working with Persephone on the regular.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I built a very, very good connection with her.
That's awesome.
Yes. And so the second one I'm going to give you, so does require a little bit of backstory. All right.
Okay.
So I don't know how you guys view spirit guides and whatnot, but I had a student in my coven who is no longer a student. He's well on his own now, but he wanted to work with dragons. Now, up to this point in my life, I had never worked with dragons before because I just felt that energy was just too chaotic, and I'm not going after that,
Right.
But I wanted to help this guy out along his path, so I tell him, I said, listen, I'm going to walk this path with you as far as it'll take me, and I did, and we studied it together, and we came up with things, and we met our guardian dragons and our and that's the one thing that stayed with me is Mr. Aragorn, who is pretty much with me everywhere I go now.
That's awesome.
And while I see him as more of a manifestation of my own subconscious, and giving him a name of being my dragon guide, and other people see him as his own entity. Whichever one may be the case, it works for me. But I let him do a full channel for a song.
Oh,
he keeps telling me, I want to rap on a song. I want to rap on a song. I want to rap on a song. I said, okay, fine, we'll rap on a song. So I actually let him in and do a full channel while I was recording the song The Dragon Ride, which is why if you look on Modern Bard on The Dragon Ride, I feature Aragorn Firewing. If anybody's wondering who that is, that's my dragon guide, who I let in to do those verses. I did not write that.
Okay.
I just went after it in the thing and decided to tear me apart in those verses.
Okay.
But it was a full channel. It was the first time that I ever really attempted something like that for like a full channel.
Right.
And it was
intense.
It turned out to be pretty intense. Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely a couple magical moments that I've really had. And, especially even since I've started writing this music, because I kind of feel like I've found my magic.
Right.
Now I'm working with this, and now I'm having even more experiences and wonderful experiences at that.
That's awesome. I love that. Harold's on.
Yes, he is. Our International Pagan Music Awards Association Best Male Vocalist of 2022. I see you in the chat.
Shout out to him. Harold, you're probably in the group, but if you go to the page, we should be live on the page, and it should be public to share.
Yeah, I was trying to make sure that it was shareable.
Yeah, so the group's private, so that's the only reason why I can't share it from the group. But we're live on the page as well. So if you go to just the Witch Source Facebook page, you can share it straight from there. So yeah, shout out to Harold. I absolutely love that you not only you found your path, then you found the music, but then the music helped you create an even deeper path and experience.
Yes.
So that's awesome. And I absolutely love that. And I love when people can talk about those kinds of experiences that they've had and the things that have happened as a result, like the songs. Because I think that helps other people who are searching and wondering, was that real? Did that really just happen? Did I really have that experience? Are people going to think I'm crazy if I talk about it or put it out there? And I say that because I've felt the same thing. So I totally get what you're saying. Like when I first told my sister that I had a dragon show up, she was like, okay.
Yeah.
yeah, I get that a lot. Or I'll have experiences at my house, right, where my wife will be asking me something, and then I'm getting an answer from Aragorn, and I'm taking a second to process both, and she's like, well, babe, and I'm like, give me a second, what? And every time I feel like please don't think I'm crazy.
Right.
my wife doesn't practice,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, she's full support of everything that I do, but she just doesn't practice herself. It's not her jam. I get it. But so sometimes she looks at me like, fuck are you doing?
Right.
So is she participate in any religion or
Nope.
Atheist?
She considers herself a spiritualist at best. But
Okay.
Yeah, which is fine by me,
Right.
Because we all have our own experiences with the universe in itself, with the the divine energy that is everywhere within us and all. But it comes down to it, every religion is praying to the same thing. They're all just doing it in different ways. I mean, if you look, you can see the same kind of tropes and teachings of every religion of basically don't be an ass and, just try to be a good person,
Right.
And then you have your people that take extreme ideas on it, but that's usually from their own ego or ambition that causes that, as opposed to, the actual ideas behind what's written. So
Yeah.
we're all right and we're all wrong at the same time. You know what I mean? So
Right. And that's something that I've kind of questioned before. Who says that we're not all praying to the same God, or goddess in just our own way of doing it?
Yeah. I mean, I think if any proper term would be used to describe God, it would be it.
Right.
Myself personally, not him or her, but through the Wiccan path, we personify the universal deity with personal deities, and it would be a feminine energy or a masculine energy, and then you have your archetypes, and this is all broken down, of these different kinds of deity that you find through every path of life. Through every culture, you have your same archetype or archetypal deities,
right?
And then you have your
mothers, you have your fathers, you have your demons, you have
you have your kings, you have your jesters, you have your you have them all, and they're all personifies of different ideas and different energies and different things that we can draw from at times that we need. And these, to fit that all into one thing and have this one omnipotent being, I mean, they're not wrong in that idea either, but it's much harder to truly understand the nature of divinity when you're only looking in one direction. That's just my personal take on it. But
well, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I really like that, actually. I think that's a good way to state that and put it. A lot of times I feel like, personally, I work with a goddess. In the past, I've worked with a god energy, but sometimes my most powerful experiences have just been from working with spirit and just leaving it at that. And that's had some of the most profound things come through with not trying to fit anything into a box.
Yes. So I try to not have much of a box myself for things, and I'm beginning to do that musically as well. I'm kind of pushing myself outside of the hip hop area. But yeah, I got some stuff coming down the pike, which is going to be, I think you guys are going to really like it. It's going to be a little outside of the box, a little different. So
awesome.
Love different.
We have to keep growing. That's the whole thing,
And it's a way to completely reinvent yourself as well. Open yourself up to a whole other group. I mean, in listening, in listening to, you say that, it kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you're familiar with Aaron Lewis. I know my daughter's going to be like, oh my God, you're talking about Aaron Lewis. But, he was a part of Stained, in that, complete genre. And then on a dare wrote a country song and became a country album and opened himself up to a whole new
audience.
That man is one of the best acoustic cover specialists I have ever come across in my life. Every time he does an acoustic cover or something, I'm like, all right, what is it? I don't even care what it is. I'm listening. He's got a great voice. He really does.
He really does. And I love the drop chords. I don't know what it is about drop chords in music. They make me happy.
Yeah, I used to play in a metal band. I used to play bass in a metal band and do all of the backup screaming and and that was a good experience too. And the more you experience life, especially from an artistic standpoint, no matter what kind of art it is that you do, whether you write poetry or whatnot, if you experiment with different feelings and different emotions and all of that in your art, it really helps you kind of come to realize in your own mind when you find yourselves in those emotional places, to be able to draw from. So it's like I have a song on Modern Bar that is ridiculously sad, right? But then I also have songs where it's like I'm flying high egotistically or whatever, like, and then there's a struggle with ego, and then there's this, and then there's that. And there's so many different feelings that one can pull from artistically that really help you, center your energies around these ideas. And it helps you in your daily life too.
Right. I love how music is tied to emotions. And when you're feeling certain emotions, you gravitate. And it can help heal, it can help soothe, get you through that hard times.
Like when I get mad, I listen to Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like just like aggressive music,
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes when I'm feeling, bottled up. Like I have a song called Cloud Shadow where I kept feeling like I've been bottling up what I have to say. So I said what I wanted to say in a song and unbottled that. And the song is literally a back and forth of me being like, I don't do that yet. You know what? Go ahead. Like, it's like, sometimes you have to let your shadow speak before you can start to even really do the work with your shadow. So
yeah, that's actually why I was a little bit late. I got into a discussion with a new druid friend of mine, and we were talking about shadow, the shadow work and the shadow self, and then I was like, oh crap, the time, I've got to run. So it's a deep subject to get into, obviously.
It very well is. We can definitely,
I've not listened to the shadow. You've got a part 1 and a part 2, right?
Just part 1 right now. I'm gonna wait until something happens in my life to really tick me off for part 2.
Okay.
But Cloud Shadow was eventually going to become an alter ego. It was originally going to become an alter ego. Every time I got overly mad and wanted to say whatever I wanted, I would just call it Cloud Shadow. Like, oh, the shadow was speaking. And I was like, let's just do it in chapters because that would be too much to try and handle.
Right.
Because I have podcasts going. I am the YouTube host for International Pagan Radio. Not to mention the work I'm doing with Pagan Flow Tribe, with Harold and them. I have hands in a lot of pots right now, so I don't want to take on anything else. So we just kind of released that from the chapter standpoint instead.
Well, I love it. I gotta listen to it and check it out, especially after having the shadow conversation we did recently on our podcast, and then having this conversation today. So I'm gonna definitely check it out. But on that note, we would love to know what all you have going on and coming up, and where can people find more of you? I know you mentioned a little bit, you've got the second degree you're working on, and the really awesome shrine work that you're doing that, I'm hoping people will check out as well. But tell us more of what's going on with you and how we can find out.
Well, got a couple upcoming shows for those that may be watching in different parts of the country. So September 3rd, I will be performing at Philadelphia Pagan Pride.
Oh, okay.
All right. And so that is going to be pretty awesome. And then in November, I will be joining Harold Carter along with a bunch of other musicians. Primal Rhythm will be there. Marin King will be there. A couple other people as well at Trees of Avalon gathering for their Samhain Festival in November.
Okay.
I will be performing there as well, and that is down in Florida.
Oh, okay. I was about to ask, where is that at in Florida?
Yep, it's down in Florida, the Ocala Forest area in Florida.
Okay.
Oh, awesome.
So I will be down there for both of those times. So if you are at either one of those festivals and you see me, do not be intimidated to come and talk to me. We are going to have a blast.
Yes, go
All
say
right.
hi and tell him that you heard
And
about him.
I am working on some new music. I'm sorry, you're breaking up a bit.
Oh, we didn't say anything.
Go
we
ahead.
were
I believe
listening.
what was said was tell them that you
Oh,
heard
yeah.
about them here, right?
Yeah. If they see you at a festival, to make sure that they tell you that they heard you on
Yeah,
here.
so you guys broke up pretty bad. You're frozen on my side.
Oh gosh.
Oh, there we are. You're back.
So then you said you're working on some new music?
Otherwise, I'm working on some new music. Yeah, working on some new music, and I took on another project just started yesterday where I did a vocal cover of a song in an attempt to continue pushing myself musically. I did a vocal cover of The Music of the Night from The Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, I saw
and
that.
I just released that on my YouTube channel, Cloud the Pagan Rapper. You can check that out. You can also find me on Facebook. You find me on Facebook, and you find anything that you need there. Cloud the Pagan Rapper. I have a Facebook page. I also have a group for Cloud the Pagan Rapper music group. If you wanted to get more insider info, I post some like random poetry that I write up there and stuff like that. So you get a little bit more of me in the group, And I'm on TikTok and I'm on Instagram and all that, and I'm at Cloud Raps Wicca for just about everything.
Okay.
So you can't really miss me.
Awesome.
Love it. So, do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite song out of all the ones that you've done that has really hit home for you? Like if somebody could only listen to one of your songs, is there one that's really like, this is it, this is the one?
Calling you out.
It's kind of a toss-up. I'd say it's probably a toss-up between two songs.
Okay.
Because one of the biggest things that I'm about is combating, misconceptions of a thing and being people. Pagans are people too,
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote a song called Scene from a Convenience Store.
Oh, okay.
And that song depicts a Bible thumper coming at me in a convenience store and me having none of it.
Right.
But you come to find out that the song is what I wanted to say to that person, not what I actually said to that person.
Okay.
But the song displays the anger that we feel when people keep telling us our beliefs aren't real and that we're going to go to hell and this, that, and the third, So it displays that emotion that so many pagans feel pretty much daily in the country too,
Right.
So that one hits really close to home for me. And the other one would be Witch Up, which is a song that I wrote for Modern Bard, where it's more talking about who do you want to be? Step up, find your magic, witch up, and see these things through for yourself. It's meant to be a motivational track to get you thinking about it. Like, where am I going? What am I doing? Who do I want to be? So, those two songs are very, very important to me.
I like it.
I love that. I really do. I think that's great. Especially the second one. I definitely think people can relate to the first one for sure. But I think the second one that you mentioned, I think we need more of that right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think if a lot of witches or people that are wanting to explore magic were to like really sit down and be like, what am I doing and where do I want to go and what is it that drives me? I think we could get a lot more done.
Yeah. I think we can get a lot more done too. I think we can get a lot more done as an entire collective, personally, if everybody were to just kind of, work together more.
Right.
it's not as bad as it used to be, but there's still a lot of infighting within the community to where we're like, come on, man. And it would turn a novice off, to the idea of branching out to the greater community. A lot of solitary practitioners remain solitary because they don't want to deal with that kind of drama. If they wanted to deal with that kind of drama, they'd go to church.
Exactly. Oh, exactly.
So we need to be better, I feel, as people. People first. And then we can worry about the paganism side of it. But we got to worry about being good people first.
Very true. Absolutely. So first off, can I get permission to use some of your quotes that you have given us here on the show today? Because I've really liked a lot of what you've had to say.
Absolutely. Yeah, whatever you need. You need me to sign a release or something, send it right on through.
Okay. So you have a little bit more than just music on your YouTube channel. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I started out doing the whole, hey guys, so Cloud Pagan Rapper here, Cloud here with Moonwell of Magic, and today we're going to talk about deities, or today we're going to talk about Witchcraft 101. And you know what? I enjoyed doing that, and it was actually really cool to kind of touch back on the basics while I was putting all that together.
Yeah.
My coven helped out a lot with the research back stuff and that, so, and I wanted to make sure that I was putting good information out.
Right.
As opposed to just whatever is on my head, because and I've said this a million times. So, I'm not going back on my word. TikTok, like a lot of your influencer type witchy folks and all that, they're just out for themselves, man. Like, and you can tell the ones that are just out for themselves and the ones that are actually trying to put out good information.
Right.
And so it's like, but you look at the ones that are putting out good information and they have like 2,000 followers. You look at the ones that are just out for themselves and they have 120,000 followers. And you're like literally all you're doing is putting your makeup on and saying, I'm a glam witch today. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Right.
Like, okay, can we break down what glam witchery actually is, please?
Right. Can we get some real information?
Yeah, but it's weird because, education via the internet, it's broken down into 3-minute to 15-minute sections. What are you really grasping in 3 minutes to 15 minutes about a specific topic?
Right.
So that's why I appreciate the people that do series, which is why I started a series as opposed to just doing a bunch of random videos.
Right.
But so I have some more on there than that. I think there was a couple recipes on there, which is something that I love to cook. So when I'm cooking, sometimes I'll tape it, and then there's the I want to say there's a couple spells that I put up. And yeah, I kind of just went and checked out the YouTube horizon and then, landed back on music.
Right.
I think you've got to go with what you're passionate for. Otherwise, if you're doing what you love, it's not a job.
Right. See, I always consider myself a jack of all trades and master of none, but you can't become a jack of all trades without trying different things.
Yep.
So, I got decent at video editing through doing all that. I got decent at interviewing people through doing this. I got decent at rapping through doing this. It's all just a matter of, putting in work. I like to call it kind of like a skill tree in a video game, If you guys game it all. So let's say you're playing, say, Skyrim, right? And you can put every time you level up, you get skill points, and you can put them into magic, theft, speed, strength, charisma, whatever it is. Now, if you put all your points in one area, you're going to be really good at one thing and not that good at another.
Right.
But if you put all your points and you spread them out too thin, then you're going to be not really all that good at anything.
Right.
So you have to pick and choose where you're going to put your skill points. You know, how far down this path do you want to go? You know, because I have a second degree in another tradition.
Right.
And I'm working on a second degree with the Corellian tradition. So it's all just the world takes us where we go. If we're not learning, then we're not witching right, if you ask me. You know?
I like that.
I love it. I tell you, you're giving so many good quotes. I cannot wait to go back and listen to this again and pull out all these awesome quotes.
Well,
seriously.
Well, I am a poet. It's kind of what I do. So thank you. I appreciate it. I really do.
Very true. Very true. Well, we are, we got about 5 minutes left. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate the music and the videos and you sharing your experiences and your magic and your passion with us, because I think it can really help a lot of people. And I think you've got a great message. And I think you've got a lot more to share. And I'm excited to follow you along on your journey as you go. And, you know, maybe at some point have you back again, you know,
Absolutely.
maybe, you know, and see where you evolve to, especially with this, you know, your new projects you're working on that you've not fully disclosed yet.
Well, you know, the vocal cover thing, I don't think is going away anytime soon because I really enjoyed making that. And it was very simple to record and edit. Like you know, it only took me like an hour and I was like, oh, okay, this is good, you know? So, you know, I can crank those videos out pretty quick. So I'm probably going to do a bunch more of those. But to be completely honest, I want to thank y'all for bringing me on because for the last few months, I have been very quiet. And, you know, I've been focusing on a lot of things at home and all of that. And, you know, getting out here and speaking with you fine folk today has really been a wonderful experience for me. And, you know, it kind of helps me remind me of, you know, why I started doing all this in the first place. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, before you go, Harold wanted to know, what tradition did you practice before Correllian?
Coven of the Silver Phoenix. We're a smaller coven up here in the New Jersey area since disbanded.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not active anymore. So, but yeah, that's where I did my comeuppance. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, I think that's it for us. We can't wait to have you back, and I will be in touch because I'm telling you, I've got a lot of great quotes I've got to pull out from this. But we look forward to hearing more from you and having you back on and following you along. And, you know, maybe at some point in the future, we'll end up at a festival together. That would be awesome.
I think that would be awesome. And I look forward to the day. I honestly do. So, yeah. So we'll see you later. This is just goodbye for now, per se.
Exactly. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. For those not watching live, you can find more on the Facebook page, thewitchsource.com, and in the group, the Witch Source Society.
Yes.
It's a cool place to go hang out, ask questions, get more info. Glad we need you in the group just to hang out.
Come hang out with us.
Heck
Absolutely.
yeah. All right, cool. All right, you guys. We hope you'll join us on social media. Check it out. Leave us a review. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.